What's happening, BST people? Welcome to episode number 2 of BlckBeardTV. Listen, you guys, I have to say thank you very much for all of the cool words and cool comments and everything that you guys left online. I really appreciate it. It helps a lot with motivating me to actually do this, because you do these kind of things and you're like, yeah, is it worthwhile? But yeah, you guys definitely send some cool messages, so thank you very much for that. So we'll keep on doing this as much as we can while we still have the time during lockdown. What we are going to do this week is we're going to try and keep the episode a little bit shorter. I know the first one was a little bit on the lengthy side, but I think it was quite nice to hear from Han. Most of us hadn't seen him and heard from him in a while, so I think it was cool just to get some time with him. This week's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the news, of course, as usual, what's happening around the world of CrossFit, locally and internationally, and also we're going to be chatting to Bran, but Bran is going to be 100% focused on South Coast Fitness Festival, so we'll be touching base on the South Coast Fitness Festival and checking the ins and outs of that and planning and what's happening and how he operates it and how things work there, etc. So stick around if that sounds interesting, but before we do that, let's get a quick workout in. Let's get into the news. Right, BST people, now it is time for us to jump into the news. Like I mentioned, we're going to try and keep this episode a little bit shorter, so what I've done is I've added a little feature to get you all the news that you need, but in the quickest time possible. So, we are going to be doing the AM wrap-up. So, basically what it's going to be is I'm going to get 2 minutes to give you all the news that there possibly can be around the world of CrossFit, locally and internationally, touching on things here and there and so on and so forth. But enough talking, let's give it a try and get into it. All right, ladies and gents, the first story that I want to touch base on today is with regards to the amount of CrossFit boxes that have closed. As of a couple of days ago, CrossFit announced that 90% of all affiliates around the world have been closed temporarily. So doing the maths on that, that's approximately 13,500 boxes out of the 15,000. Now, that's a hell of a lot of people that are out of doing gym. However, the big question, I suppose, is not how long they're going to be closed for, but also how many of them are not going to reopen their doors at all because they were unable to survive this crisis. We will have to see. Last Man Standing released their rulebook for 2020. Nice little bit of light reading if you guys feel for doing any. I did take the liberty of doing it myself for you and just went through a couple of key components. I think it's very cool of them to do something like this so that everyone has a bit of a clear understanding of how things move forward. Majority of the rules are very intuitive, very usual to a CrossFit kind of competition. However, there were a few that I thought it would be worth highlighting. The appeals process. So, for example, if you are not happy with a call that's made by a judge, standard rules are you speak to the head judge and so on and so forth. But if you have a look over here, I think a culture that we have in South African CrossFit competitions sometimes, they state here, in addition, athletes may not protest discrepancies related to the judging, scoring, or performance of another individual athlete or team. Deliberately doing less work or performing at a level less than one is capable of, referred to as sandbagging, in order to gain advantage in another workout or over another athlete or team is prohibited. Seen that once or twice. In the event of an event cancellation, there will be no refund of your registration fee. Next, for those of you who are looking to get your retail fix on the 5th of May, you guys will be able to purchase the brand new Reebok Nanos. The Nano 10s are coming out if you guys really feel for doing it and if you have the money to do it. They'll be out, as I say, on the 5th of May and they will retail around $130. They don't look too bad. These are quite nice. My wife loves them. Me, not too much, but hey, I wouldn't say no to a pair. Touching base real briefly on the leaderboard that is the BST Hunger Games for the most amount of MEPs. Still sitting at the top with no surprises, Jenny with 7,000 odd, and as you can see here, the top 20 all very well spread out. However, do you want to make note that Dejan and Danica are catching up to Jenny pretty quickly. Dejan, you're only 500 mips away, or 600 mips away, so yeah, let's get this race going and make it interesting. There's just under a week left, so let's see how that goes. The Rogue Invitational has been cancelled. It has been moved to an online event, and you won't be seeing anybody live. There's no surprise in that. All these kind of informational things are no surprise when it comes to any kind of gathering or events whatsoever. But I thought it was pretty cool to mention in the sense that it is the closest competition that we see to the games. So yeah, that might give us a bit of a hint or an indication as to where the games might be going. Mentioning the word games, where are we going to go with that? Here's a cool little infographic that I pulled off the Morning Chalk Up. It's got a ton of information and very cool to look at. The list shows a list of all the sanctionals that were supposed to be taking place throughout the 2020 CrossFit season, and it shows which one of them are still happening, which ones have been cancelled, and which ones have been suspended. Now, out of the 17 sanctionals that were supposed to take place this year, this is a day old, and since then, Asbury Park Summer Games actually have postponed. So what that means is that every single sanctional that was scheduled for 2020 has now been cancelled or postponed. So how we are going to get a field of athletes that is somewhat determining of the fittest in the world, I do not know. Right there at the bottom, you see the CrossFit Games, the only event that remains unchanged, still scheduled for the 29th to the 2nd of August, 29th of July to the 2nd of August. So we will see what they come up with. If you guys are looking for more information on this, I would suggest jump onto the Morning Chalk Up's Instagram page. They have got a cool video where they've interviewed a couple of athletes, in particular speaking to Jacob Hepner, who gives his unbiased report of why and how he thinks the Games is holding on and not making any decisions as to what they are doing. So jump on there and check that out if you want to know a bit more. The CrossFit fundraiser ended on the 24th of April, which was the Friday. This Friday just passed. All scores had to be submitted by N3 workouts. You guys know the gist. Here's a quick snapshot of that leaderboard, the final leaderboard, with everybody that filled in scores and a couple of people that didn't. Top 10, Mark Stiletto, Brandon Graham, Monik Klopper, Ruan Botma, Trevor, Rolene, Jean-Marie, Rolo, Vashon, and Varis. Nicely done, guys. Good work on the scores, and I do know for a fact that Hannes and the rest of the team are extremely appreciative of your support for this. Well done. Finally on the news, let's discuss BST CrossFit. For those of you that are not on the group, Hannes did put up a post the other day stating that he would like a little bit of feedback to a couple of questions, particularly after hearing that the lockdown is going to be slowly phased out, of which we're waiting to hear in which phase BST would fall into, so that we can kind of give an indication as to when things would be going back. That's what I'm sure he's trying to figure out. But in that meantime, he is going to be working on a contingency plan from what I can see in his line of questioning, trying to figure out if you guys would want to be doing classes online, if you would like to do small group sessions or something to that effect, switching out equipment, etc., etc. If you guys haven't given him feedback privately, please do so. Jump onto the group, read the questions, and give it a go so that we can formulate something, he can get something to all of us, and we can get working out in different ways as soon as possible.
And that's the news, ladies and gents. That was the first AMRAP little insert. Hopefully you enjoyed it. It was supposed to be a 2-minute AMRAP, but just like every AMRAP, it took me a lot longer, so it was 5. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, nonetheless, let's move on to the last and final little piece for today's episode, and that is chatting to Bran. So let's hear what he has to say about South Coast Fitness Festival.
Cool. Bran, how the hell are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm surviving, like we all do, trying to do our best.
On a serious note, how's training going? Are you getting some training done at least?
Yeah, look, I'm trying my best. I'm doing what I can. Obviously, we're not in normal circumstances, so training won't be normal.
Sure.
Living the work hard, play hard life over here.
I heard you. I heard before you went on lockdown. I remember you sharing a whole bunch of info with regards to what you got planned and things you guys are doing at home. The mini Olympics. How is the mini Olympics going? I'm hoping you're winning, by the way.
So we're a couple of friends that stay in a house. We live on a plot, so there's a lot of space, a lot of stuff, a lot of activities that we can do. So we've got a mini golf course, a 9-hole matchy course. We've got some ping pong. We've got beer pong. We've got PlayStations. We're holding a little mini Olympics. And so far, I must say, with the golf, I'd say Charles is leading that. The ping pong, I don't know, for some reason, Boot's taking that. I don't know how he's doing it, but he's on the ping pong. And then for some reason, I never play PlayStation, but UFC, I've got that under the belt. And then there's still a few things to go. We still need to decide who's going to win the darts. Then I opted for snatch off, but nobody wanted to take on that.
The real meat and potatoes reason of why we really wanted to chat to you was to get a little bit of behind the scenes, in the background kind of understanding of South Coast Fitness Festival, because I know you're the head honcho there. It's your baby. You put on that show from programming to organizing to all of that. So that's the main crux of why I would have liked to have chatted to you tonight. So to start off, tell us, for those. Okay, so a lot of our members, they have been to South Coast. They know a lot, obviously, from Chatting in the Box. But for those that haven't and that haven't really researched it or looked at it, what is the South Coast Fitness Festival all about? And why is it not your regular clump? I've competed in there, and it's definitely not. But I want to hear it from you. Why is it not the regular CrossFit competition in South Africa?
So we sat down and we talked about what's missing in South African CrossFit. What competition is there not? And something that we've realized is, where can we go to and just have fun? You go out competing, and fitness has become such a big part of our lives. Even now in the lockdown, as you see, everyone should train. They're so motivated because fitness is such a big part of our life. And thought, like, when people go on vacation, they want to take equipment with them. They want to go train. That's what people start doing. Yeah. And then we thought, like, okay, let's go down. Let's make a competition for them. If you take your family, you take your kids, you take grandma, you take grandpa, you go down there, you have fun with the family, and in the meantime, you compete as well. And then in between workouts, you were there last year. I think it's all about making memories. And that's what it's about. And also at the same time, having fun competing. Because nowadays, all the competition we do is so serious, like battle. It's serious, it's fun, it's also fun, but it's a serious competition. That's where we train hard and we want to compete and we want to win. South Coast is about having fun. Obviously, there is winners, but it's about having fun and making memories.
Listen, Brian, obviously with the times that we're in and the things that we're living through and doing right now, I have to obviously ask this question. I did pose it to Han as well. Is that battle's a little bit later on in the year. We're looking at August for that. Here it's June, July for South Coast. But from your point of view, are you moving ahead? Are you carrying on as if this was going to take place? Are you still planning to have it happen and just waiting to see where the cards fall? Or are you kind of saying, okay, well, maybe we put a hold on this for now?
So unless it comes from the horse's mouth, we're not going to make any drastic decisions. So we have planned this out and we're going to carry on just normal as if the competition will carry on. And then, like we said, we did post to all the competitors and everybody out there. We're going to keep entries open till the 15th of May. Then you have a 15-day period, and then the 1st of June, we're going to make a decision if the competition is going to carry on or not.
Brand, look, South Coast is a speaking from experience, it's an amazing location. It's a great spot. It's got some really cool elements to the location that 90% of competitions around the country don't have. The beaches and just to name a few. There's a bit. Now, with regards to having those elements, when you're planning the workouts themselves, or when you're planning the event, do you take that into mind and do you go, how can I make these elements part of the event itself to almost make it as another part of the WOD or another piece of equipment? How do you do that, and what do you do? And what, maybe a couple of hints for this year that we could think about. Maybe who knows?
Oh no, definitely. So we'd be stupid if we don't use the elements. Like you said, we're in an amazing location. We've got the beach, we've got the sand, we've got the water. This is a perfect opportunity for us to work on that little bit of element that you don't train at your normal CrossFit box. That is what makes this competition so fun. Is the unknowable. You'll get there and we're going to throw you with some odd objects that you can't train at your box. Even if we give you guys the hint, you won't be able to train at your box. It's only something that you can train on the beach. It's special equipment. We definitely want to use the elements that we have there. We have the water. We can chat about that a little bit as well. We have the sand. I mean, last year we had simple stuff like sprinting on the beach sand. And everybody thought, like when I saw the programming, I thought, no, man, can't be that bad. And then it actually hurt. And I thought I was a good sprinter. Apparently, I'm not good on sand.
Apparently, majority of us people from Joburg are not too great on the sand or the ocean. Funny that.
Or in the water.
Last year, Brand, you and Han made it very clear that South Coast Fitness Festival wanted to include and use the community, the local CrossFit community within South Coast, to help with organization, to help with the running, to help with workouts, etc., etc. Did you feel that there was a lot of value in that, not only for the comp but for them? And do you think this is something that you're going to continue to do with the competition moving forward?
Yes, definitely. So down there we've got CrossFit Wild Coast helping us down there, Mitch Anderson, and it's actually perfect for us because we're sitting here up in Joburg. We can't fly down every month, and obviously these competitions takes a lot of planning, and it takes somebody that needs to be on hand. And for us teaming up with somebody like Mitch that can be down there and help us with the local people and deal with the local people, because we've all seen that down there in South Bloom as well, in South Bloom specifically down on the coast, people it's a lot about the local community and people trying to help each other out. So for us teaming up with them, it also helps us and it helps them. It provides them more opportunities to expand their businesses and expand their community. And it makes our job easier just to go to one person, to Mitch. He knows the locals there. He works for them and we work for him.
Yeah, I have to. Their hospitality was amazing, and what they did and helped out with was great. And as you say, it's a mutual relationship. It's a mutually beneficial. Everybody gets feet through the door. Their athletes get to see a different level of athlete from Joburg or Cape Town or wherever the case is. And yeah, I think it was very cool, and I think a very smart way of going about organizing a comp in a inverted commas remote location like that. So yeah. Very cool. Very, very cool. Brand, with the uncertain times and with things that we don't really know where we're going, like we discussed now, something I picked up on your website and something you guys actually mentioned when I said, I don't know if I can actually make it or afford to go to South Coast because of what's going on. You guys have something, what I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is unique to any other CrossFit comp that's held in South Africa, and that is a registration deposit. Is that right? Tell us a little bit about that. Are you the only comp providing that, and what is it about?
Yes. So initially, it was actually just a quick thought. Obviously, the president announced that we won't be able to have events or gatherings with more than 100 people, and obviously South Coast was going to be more than 100 people. So we need to make drastic decisions for our event to continue. So we just said, okay, well, whatever's going to happen, we'll just open up for it's a deposit. Just to confirm your entry. So you have the entry, and then if the event gets cancelled, then the event won't continue. But what we said, that 500 Rand deposit is not just a deposit that you're going to lose. You're going to use that deposit, and you will still receive your athletes back. So it's not just a deposit, and we score the money. So it's a 500 Rand deposit, but you still get the shirt and all the gear that you would have got if you went to the actual competition.
Very, very cool. So it's a win-win situation here in the sense of if you put your deposit down, secure your entry, and things go badly, you're still scoring an athlete's pack. If not, things go ahead, pay the rest, and you're getting a kick-ass weekend away at South Coast. That's very
exactly.
Cool. With regards to the sign-up brand, there's also obviously every single competition we get a list of categories that you can enter, a list of divisions from masters to beginners to so on and so on and so forth. I was poking around the website the other day, and I actually didn't realize this, but you guys don't have an intermediate category. You have the RX, and then you have the beginners. Couple of questions around that. Number one, why did you choose to, lack of a better word, not have an intermediate category? And also, how would you then suggest that people potentially wanting to sign up and do the comp place themselves in those categories?
Okay, so first of all, so we have the RX division, and then we do have a Masters division as well. So we consider that more as an intermediate division. Yeah, and then we have the beginner division as well. So regarding the RX division, if you're unsure to enter either RX division or intermediate division, what we decided in South Africa, we feel that the RX and intermediate division is so close to each other. We're going to try and combine the two. Okay. So for the RX guys, they might not get that heavy weight or that complex movement, but it will still be a competitive competition for them. And then for the intermediate guys, that might challenge them a little bit. So we might throw in that little weight that's a little bit over their max just to try and test them a little bit, or that gymnastic movement that they can do 1 or 2 reps, but they can still improve on. So still give them the opportunity to compete and to challenge themselves in training. And then the beginners division is just there for people to go down there. It's your first competition. Go down there, have fun with family, have fun with friends, because that is the ultimate goal of South Coast, is just going down and having fun. Yes.
You've mentioned it throughout this conversation, but I want to highlight it, is that last year's South Coast, the schedule, it was very, we saw mid-morning workouts, which was amazing, and we saw early afternoon finishes, which was even better because it allowed us to pop to Mariners, clap a couple of beers, have pizza, chill out, and just have that kick-ass vibe that you're talking about the whole time. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning is that do you think this is something that only occurred because of the amount? And look, being the first year, you always expect a low to medium amount of entries. But do you think, and you can tell us here, did this only happen because of the amount of entries, or is this a vibe or a ethos that is going to be carried on into the future of South Coast South Coast Functional Fitness Comp? And you are going to limit the amount of entries so that we can have something similar. Obviously, we can't only work out for three hours a day, but will it be something similar to keep that vibe?
Yes, definitely. That is the vibe that we want at South Coast. We want that come down, throw down. You have your 3 hours in the morning, early morning, get it done. Afternoon, chill out, have a beer, chill with your friends, have a pizza, go to bed, sleep a little bit earlier. Or if your division is a little bit late at night, still afterwards smash a couple of beers. Next day you can sleep in a little bit. You can chill, go to the beach, chill with the family a little bit, and then you only compete in the afternoon again. It is definitely a vibe that we want to try and keep. That's why we will definitely in the future, as South Coast grows, we will definitely limit the entries, so that we can keep that same vibe as that we had last year. Because like you said, it was an awesome vibe, and that is definitely planned, and that is definitely that we are planning this year as well, if the event continues, and that is definitely something that we'll plan in the future as well.
Off topic of South Coast, I asked Han the same question, and he had some very, very cool answers to give, and I'm going to ask you the same thing, and it's one of the questions I've been asking quite a few people, and I'm sure you've been asking. What is your biggest takeaway from the situation that we're in right now, being in lockdown, being with this whole world pandemic? What would you say your number one lesson, takeaway, or whatever it is that you're leaving lockdown?
I'd say two things. So firstly, I'll say there's a lot of stuff there that I've realized that we take for granted. We get caught up so in our jobs and in life that there's a lot of stuff that we take for granted, like something like health, food, a car, for instance, some stupid stuff that being able to go visit your family, stuff that we really take for granted, that we see sometimes we see as chores, and it's actually, we're privileged to be able to do that. And then I would say the second thing, this kind of forced me, because I didn't really have anything to do. It kind of forces you to sit down and sometimes deal with yourself. Obviously, a lot of people, they out there living with their family, so they get to know their families, they get to know their kids a little bit better, get to know their wives a little bit better. For me, I sat down and I get to know myself a little bit better.
Yeah.
Sitting down, thinking about, and then just dealing with your own shit. I mean, what's going in your mind? What's your plan for the future, and getting your mind ready for what's coming.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good. Han sent me a message earlier. He said, I got to grill you on a couple of questions over here that he sent. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll ask him. What's it like being single and in your mid-20s during lockup?
It's sad. That's all I can say. It's sad. My weekends usually consist of going home and then going to socialize and seeing what's out there. Fishing. I'm sitting here at home.
I can imagine. For somebody single in their mid-20s, prime of their life, and you're not allowed to go and do anything, your social life takes a huge knock. What is the first thing you were going to do when you're back out?
Yes, probably go buy pizza or something.
I knew you were going to say food because we all going to do the same thing, dude.
Definitely food.
Definitely. Any particular pizza or just anything from anywhere?
No, any pizza. Anything I can stuff in my face.
What do you miss the most about BST? And don't say, oh, the people, because we don't want to hear that softness. What do you miss the most about BST?
To be honest, and I think a lot of people are not going to believe me, and I think especially Han is not going to believe me, but that 4 a.m. drive to BST in the morning, I miss that.
Really?
The only time I can sit, I'm by myself, nothing to think about it, put the radio down, and just take that half an hour drive to BST.
Wow, how about that, hey? Okay.
Yeah.
And then last question, who do you miss the most in BST? Now, I know you said me at the beginning of the conversation, and I really appreciate that. But besides me, who do you miss the most at BST?
Who do I miss the most at BST? Yes, I must say my
Those
single
questions-
buddy Mornay, eh?
Really? I was going to say the question's a trap, eh? Okay, all right.
Yes. Klopper.
Oh, Klopper. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Mornay.
Happy birthday, Mornay.
Oh, yes. Okay, cool. Klopper. South Coast Fitness Festival. Is there anything else you want to mention about it? Anything you have to say? Any info or something we've missed that you want to chat about?
For the people that want to enter South Coast, are still unsure to enter South Coast. We understand it's not normal circumstances. We can't expect anybody to act normal. What we do say is we don't have a timeline. There's nothing confirmed yet, so we're going to carry on with the event as if it's happening. If you're unsure to enter because you don't know if the event's going to happen or not, or you're not going to get your money back, whatever, I'd say enter South Coast. Like we said, you get a deposit, you're still going to get your entry fee, you're not going to lose any money, we're not going to lose any money, and it's a win-win for everybody. If you're unsure to enter South Coast, email us. If there's anything that you guys are unsure about, contact us, and then this is a time for everybody that we need to assist everybody, and that is something we'll definitely do.
Very, very cool. Very cool of you guys, and yeah, that's definitely. I'll be calling you after this. But yeah, that's cool. Brant, with regards to the members at BST, because the majority of them will be watching this, not a lot of people from outside will be watching this. But with regards to them, is there anything you have to say to them, or anything you'd like to mention to them, or touch base with on that?
Obviously the president has spoken to us. We don't know what's happening yet. If we're allowed to open, apparently there's rumors that HQ said that they're going to try for the CrossFit gyms to open ahead of the normal Globo gyms, because we can control our people a little bit more. But until we have a go ahead, we're going to do our best to still provide a service to all our clients. So we think about personalized programming, taking in consideration what equipment you guys have, and then even going up to the point where if it's allowed, that we will go to everybody's houses and help them out there, coach them in their personal space, so that they don't have to go out and don't have to come to the gym. We're going to do our best. So we're going to do our best to accommodate all the BST people like we would do in normal circumstances.
Very cool, buddy. One more week to go, and who knows how much longer until we see the box open and what phase we fall under, and blah 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 blah. But all I know is that chatting to people, they are dying to get behind a bar, dying to get in that box, dying to be shouted at by you. People are crazy.
I'm also dying to shout at you, Brett.
Dude, trust me, you can call anytime and chat whenever you want to. It's not a problem. Dude, thank you very much for your
And that wraps that up from Brand. Brand, thank you very much for chatting to us. Sorry, the video got cut off there a little bit short. I think I pushed stop recording a little bit too soon. But thanks for your time. Thanks for chatting to us. Some cool information about the festival, as well as how you're keeping busy and what's going on. And that about does it for episode 2, guys. So hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a comment below. Give us a like. Next week, we're hoping to take a look at a couple of interesting pieces of equipment that everybody has been innovative in making to keep themselves fit with. From dumbbells to kettlebells to very interesting ways of making equipment work. So we'll check that out. Other than that, guys, thanks for your time, and we'll catch you next week.